it that you don't feel safe with him? Has he threatened
because
you?
I-
Was there any type of physical violence to you?
Yes, that's not really like my concern. It's just that like people just stop.
In Miami, Florida, a disturbing incident shocked the community on April 3, 2022. Courtney Clenney, a social media model with millions of followers, fatally stabbed her boyfriend, Christian Toby Obumseli, during a confrontation in their luxury apartment. Known for her significant online presence, particularly on platforms like Instagram and OnlyFans, Courtney's life seemed glamorous and successful to the outside world. However, behind closed doors, her relationship with Christian was fraught with turmoil and violence that ultimately led to a tragic end. This case not only highlights the severe implications of domestic disputes, but also raises critical questions about the influence of social media on personal relationships and public perceptions. As we unfold the story of Courtney and Christian, we look closely at their lives, the events leading to that fatal day, and the complex legal proceedings that followed, trying to understand how a seemingly perfect life spiraled into disaster. Courtney Clenney was born on April 21, 1996, in Midland, Texas. From a young age, she showed great enthusiasm for sports, engaging in football, gymnastics, and horseback riding. Her athletic interests laid a solid foundation for her later career in fitness modeling. Courtney's family was supportive, providing a comfortable upbringing that allowed her to explore various interests, including theater and dance, which she pursued from the age of 13. As she grew older, Courtney's focus shifted towards more structured physical fitness, and she excelled in activities such as volleyball and competitive weightlifting during her high school years. Recognizing her passion and potential in the fitness domain, she decided to bypass college education to concentrate fully on building a career in fitness and modeling. This decision marked the beginning of her journey into social media, where she initially gained recognition for her workout photos and videos. Courtney's transition to social media stardom began with Instagram, where her fitness-centric content quickly amassed a large following. Her popularity surged when she ventured onto OnlyFans in 2016, a platform that allowed her to monetize her online presence significantly. By creating content that catered to the desires of her audience, she tapped into a lucrative market, earning over $3 million in less than 3 years. Despite her online persona depicting a life of glamour and success, Courtney's real-life experiences, particularly in personal relationships, told a different story. Her relationships were often complex and tumultuous, marked by a continuous struggle between her public image and private realities. Friends and close associates described her as having a child mindset when it came to romantic relationships, which often led to instability and conflict. This immature approach to serious relationships could be traced back to her rapid ascent to fame, which perhaps stunted her emotional growth and coping mechanisms. The disparity between her confident online self and her actual personal life became increasingly stark as she dealt with relationship challenges that contrasted sharply with the flawless image she portrayed to the world. Despite her success and independence, Courtney's personal life was riddled with difficulties that affected her deeply. Her volatile relationship with Christian Obumseli, which began around 2020, was marred by arguments and physical confrontations that frequently escalated into police involvement. The complexities of their relationship, combined with her personal challenges, set the stage for the tragic events that unfolded in April 2022. As we explore further, it becomes evident that the facade of social media can often hide deep-seated issues, impacting personal lives profoundly. Christian Obumseli, known affectionately as Toby, was born on April 12, 1994, in Plano, Texas. His early life was characterized by a warm family environment and active participation in sports and academics. Christian's charisma and caring nature made him a beloved figure among his peers. He played football and basketball at Plano East Senior High School, demonstrating not only his athletic abilities, but also his teamwork and leadership skills. Academically, Christian was equally diligent. His interests were not just limited to sports. He also showed a keen aptitude for finance. This interest led him to delve into the world of cryptocurrency and stock markets at a young age, which later became a significant part of his career. Those close to Christian often spoke of his compassionate nature and the positive energy he brought into their lives. Christian met Courtney Clenney in early 2020, a period when both were finding significant success in their respective careers, Christian in finance and Courtney in social media. Their relationship began with immediate attraction and shared interests, particularly in fitness and lifestyle endeavors. However, the rapid pace at which their relationship progressed soon gave way to serious challenges. Friends and family noticed a change in Christian's demeanor. The once vibrant and jovial young man became more withdrawn as tensions with Courtney grew. The couple moved in together in Miami, Florida in January 2022, opting for a change of scenery and perhaps a new start to their faltering relationship. This move, however, did not alleviate the growing strains between them. If anything, it exacerbated them, leading to frequent disputes that often escalated into arguments witnessed by friends and sometimes law enforcement. This background paints a picture of Christian's life before and during his time with Courtney, highlighting the stark contrast between his earlier years and the time he spent entangled in a problematic relationship. His tragic end on April 3, 2022, in their Miami apartment was a severe departure from the life he had lived previously, marked by potential and positivity, which was profoundly affected by his turbulent relationship with Courtney. This relationship, while full of potential initially, unfortunately, devolved into a cycle of conflict and contention that ultimately culminated in tragedy. Christian Obumseli and Courtney Clenney started their relationship around early 2020, filled with intense passion and mutual interest in each other's lives. Initially, their connection seemed perfect, with common interests in fitness and lifestyle, rapidly escalating into a serious commitment. However, the harmony was short-lived, as Courtney's controlling behavior soon began to surface, creating the first cracks in their foundation. By the middle of 2020, signs of strain became evident. Courtney's need for control became more apparent, manifesting in constant check-ins on Christian and dictating who he could socialize with. This behavior put Christian in uncomfortable positions, as he valued his freedom and social interactions, which were now being curtailed. It wasn't long before these tensions escalated into arguments that sadly devolved into physical confrontations. The physical altercations began as rare occurrences, but became more frequent over time. Courtney, who was physically stronger than she appeared, often initiated these violent interactions. One of the first documented instances occurred in July 2021, when Courtney threw a glass towards Christian during an argument in their Las Vegas home. Although the glass missed him, it marked a significant escalation from verbal to physical abuse.
So, why am I here? What's going on?
My boyfriend and I just got into like a loud argument.
As their relationship continued, the intensity and frequency of these confrontations grew. In many instances, Courtney would slap, shove, or throw objects at Christian, who would mostly try to de-escalate the situation. Despite his efforts, the violence intensified, leading to multiple calls to the police. One significant incident that led to police intervention took place on March 27, 2022, when during a particularly fierce argument, Courtney struck Christian multiple times with a hard object, resulting in injuries. The first 911 call made from their Miami apartment on this date captured a frantic Christian reporting that Courtney had attacked him. Upon arrival, the police noted the visible injuries on Christian and the disarray in the apartment, indicative of a serious altercation. Courtney, however, claimed self-defense, stating that Christian had provoked her actions. This claim, although initially accepted by the police, would later be scrutinized more thoroughly following the tragic events of April 3, 2022. This pattern of physical abuse and tumultuous arguing painted a clear picture of a deteriorating relationship dominated by Courtney's aggressive tendencies and Christian's attempts to calm the storm. Each altercation left deeper wounds and presented ominous signs of a potential tragedy as their relationship spiraled out of control. The repeated cycles of violence, followed by brief reconciliations, became a toxic formula that ultimately led to catastrophic consequences. Understanding these dynamics is crucial to grasping the severity and inevitability of the outcome, illustrating a clear trajectory from passionate beginnings to a violent end. The relationship between Courtney Clenney and Christian Obumseli is a stark reminder of how quickly love can turn into something destructive when underlying issues are not addressed, leading to devastating results. In January 2022, Courtney Clenney and Christian Obumseli decided to move together to Miami, Florida, in hopes of a fresh start away from the past troubles that marred their relationship in Texas. They settled into a high-rise luxury apartment on Northeast 7th Avenue, a location that was as glamorous as it was public. However, the change in scenery did little to alleviate the tensions that quickly resurfaced and escalated. Their Miami residence became a hotbed for conflict, witnessing an increasing frequency of violent disputes. The arguments were loud and disruptive, often spilling over into public areas of the apartment complex, drawing attention from neighbors and property management. These incidents typically involved screaming and physical altercations, with Courtney usually as the aggressor. On several occasions, the police were called to their apartment to intervene. One notable incident occurred on March 27, 2022, when a heated argument turned physical, and Courtney was reported to have thrown objects at Christian, hitting him and causing minor injuries. Christian's role in their life together complicated his situation further. He acted as Courtney's personal assistant, a position that made him economically dependent on her. This dependence gave Courtney substantial control over him, which she often used to her advantage during their disputes. She wielded her financial power as a weapon, threatening to kick him out on multiple occasions and reminding him of his financial reliance on her. This imbalance contributed significantly to the toxic dynamics within their relationship, as Christian often felt powerless to leave or change his circumstances. The manipulation extended beyond mere threats. Courtney's behavior included severe emotional abuse, often belittling Christian in public and private. She would oscillate between demeaning and apologetic behaviors, which confused and further controlled Christian. This pattern of abuse, coupled with their intense and public arguments, painted a grim picture of their life together in Miami. Moreover, Courtney's influence extended to isolating Christian from his friends and family, which is a common tactic in abusive relationships to gain further control over the partner. She monitored his communications and criticized or forbade interactions that she did not approve of, which often left Christian lonely and stressed. This ongoing stress and manipulation took a toll on Christian's mental and emotional health. He became a shadow of his former self, often appearing withdrawn and unhappy. Friends and family noted significant changes in his demeanor. The once vibrant and outgoing young man was now frequently tense and appeared troubled. As the violence and control escalated, so did the severity of the incidents between them, culminating in the tragic event on April 3, 2022. The continuous cycle of abuse and reconciliation reached its breaking point, leading to irreversible consequences that would end Christian's life and significantly alter Courtney's future. The story of their relationship in Miami is a testament to the destructive impact of domestic violence, showcasing the harsh realities that often hide behind closed doors and the facades of seemingly perfect lives. This tragic case underscores the importance of recognizing and addressing signs of domestic abuse early in its manifestation to prevent fatal outcomes. Courtney Clenney made a desperate 911 call at approximately 4:57 p.m. on April 3, 2022, immediately following the stabbing incident. During the call, she urgently reported that her boyfriend was bleeding heavily and expressed panic over the unintended severity of the situation. She provided their location at 3131 Northeast 7th Avenue, apartment 2201, and pleaded for quick assistance, describing Christian's labored breathing and significant blood loss, which indicated a possible lung injury. Paramedics and police quickly responded to the scene, where they found Christian critically wounded and Courtney visibly distraught. As emergency medical technicians administered first aid, police began to question Courtney about the events leading up to the stabbing. Initially, she claimed self-defense, stating that Christian had attacked her, prompting her to use the knife in a moment of fear. This claim, alongside Courtney's agitated condition and inconsistent explanations during questioning, raised immediate questions about the circumstances of the altercation. The disordered state of the apartment suggested a struggle had occurred, adding complexity to the initial impressions of the incident. The scene was secured as a critical crime area, and Courtney's statements were noted for further investigation as detectives sought to uncover the exact sequence of events that escalated to Christian's tragic injury. This initial claim of self-defense would later be contested by the evidence collected from the scene and the autopsy results. The police secured the apartment as a crime scene, noting the disarray that suggested a struggle had taken place. Courtney was distraught but cooperative, yet her varying details in recounting the incident raised suspicions about her true intentions during the altercation.
Right now, I have not always been the victim, but right now I'm the freaking victim in the situation. I'm scared to go downstairs and walk my dogs. I just walked in and I told him, you don't have a chance, and now all of a sudden this is all happening.
The immediate aftermath of the incident left the residents of the apartment complex in shock. As news of the stabbing spread, media personnel and onlookers gathered, trying to piece together how a relationship visible to many through social media could end in such tragedy. The complex narrative of Courtney and Christian's relationship, marked by passionate highs and violent lows, had reached a deadly conclusion, prompting a broader discussion on domestic violence and the facade of social media personas versus real-life behaviors. The investigation was just beginning, with detectives combing through digital footprints, witness statements, and the physical evidence at the scene. The coming days would prove crucial in determining the legitimacy of Courtney's self-defense claim and in shaping the legal battles that would follow. This incident not only highlighted the dangers of escalating domestic disputes, but also the critical importance of understanding the warning signs before they turn fatal. Christian Obumsely tragically succumbed to his injuries shortly after the incident, dying from a single stab wound to the chest on April 3, 2022. The swift and fatal outcome of the altercation shocked the community and escalated the severity of the legal proceedings against Courtney. His death not only marked a sorrowful conclusion to his disputes with Courtney, but also set the stage for a legal battle centered around the circumstances that led to this devastating moment. The loss of Christian's life intensified the scrutiny on Courtney's actions and her initial claim of self-defense, prompting a deeper investigation into their tumultuous relationship and the events that unfolded in their Miami apartment. Courtney Clenney was arrested on April 4, 2022, the day after Christian Obumsely was fatally stabbed. Initially, she was charged with second-degree murder as law enforcement quickly intervened, processing the scene and taking her into custody. Despite her claims of self-defense, which she articulated in the immediate aftermath and during her 911 call, the severity of the incident prompted a thorough investigation. In the early stages of her arrest, Courtney's self-defense claim was scrutinized but temporarily accepted, allowing her legal team to prepare for a defense centered around her purported fear for her own safety during the altercation with Christian. This claim hinged on her assertion that Christian had been the aggressor, a point contested by the evidence that began to emerge. As investigators dove deeper, they gathered extensive forensic evidence from the apartment, which painted a conflicting picture compared to Courtney's initial statements. Blood spatters, the positioning of the knife, and other physical clues did not fully align with her description of events. This evidence suggested a struggle had taken place, but the exact dynamics seemed to differ from her narrative. Surveillance footage from the building's cameras, coupled with electronic communications between Courtney and Christian, texts and recorded conversations, offered further insights that contradicted her claims. These pieces of evidence showed a pattern of aggressive behavior from Courtney in the hours and days leading up to the incident, undermining her self-defense argument. The compilation of this evidence was critical for the prosecution as they prepared for a high-profile trial set to begin in late 2022. The trial preparations involved detailed forensic analysis, witness statements from friends and neighbors who had observed the couple's interactions, and expert testimonies about the nature of the injuries sustained by Christian. Each piece aimed to build a comprehensive view of the relationship's dynamics and the altercation's specifics. Courtney's legal team focused on establishing a narrative that would corroborate her fear during the incident, emphasizing her version of self-defense. They prepared to counter the prosecution's evidence by questioning the reliability and interpretations of the forensic data and the motives behind Christian's alleged aggression. As the trial date approached, public interest in the case grew, partly due to Courtney's notoriety as a social media influencer and the grave nature of the charges against her. The impending courtroom proceedings were expected to not only delve into the minute details of their troubled relationship, but also to set a significant precedent on cases involving claims of self-defense in domestic settings. This phase of the legal process highlighted the complexities involved in dissecting interactions leading to violent outcomes, particularly when the accused has a substantial public identity. The evidence gathered was poised to play a pivotal role in the trial, where both sides would contest the narrative of fear, aggression, and self-defense that led to a young man's death. The community, legal observers, and a broader online audience braced for a trial filled with legal and emotional debates deeply rooted in the tragic events of April 3, 2022. As the trial unfolded, the prosecution presented a detailed timeline of the events leading up to Christian Obumseli's death. Key evidence included text messages, emails, and surveillance footage that highlighted the volatile nature of Courtney and Christian's relationship. Witness testimonies from friends and neighbors depicted Courtney as the aggressor in many of their interactions, contradicting her portrayal of Christian as the instigator on the day of the stabbing. Forensic experts testified about the angle and depth of the stab wound, suggesting that the force used was more consistent with an attack rather than self-defense. The defense countered this by calling their own experts, who suggested the possibility of the wound being inflicted in a defensive posture during a struggle. Additionally, Courtney's lawyers emphasized her fear during the altercation, citing her 911 call and subsequent cooperation with the police as indicators of her shock and panic, rather than calculated aggression. Throughout the trial, the courtroom saw emotional testimonies from both families. Christian's family members described him as a gentle and loving person who they claimed would not have provoked such a violent reaction. In contrast, Courtney's parents portrayed her as a victim of circumstance, pushed to the brink by what they described as ongoing emotional and psychological abuse from Christian. After several weeks of testimony, the jury deliberated for 2 days before reaching their verdict on November 21, 2022. Courtney Clenney was found guilty of second-degree murder. The courtroom was filled with mixed reactions. Relief and sobbing from Christian's family contrasted with shock and despair from Courtney's side. Courtney's reaction was one of visible distress. She broke down in tears as the verdict was read, her body shaking uncontrollably. Outside the courthouse, both families faced the media, with Christian's relatives expressing their gratitude towards the jury for delivering justice, while Courtney's family maintained her innocence, hinting at plans to appeal the decision. The public and media response was intense and divided. Many saw the verdict as a landmark decision for cases involving claims of self-defense in domestic situations, particularly highlighting the impact of social media fame on personal behavior. Advocacy groups for domestic violence victims hailed the verdict as a step forward in recognizing the signs of abusive relationships and taking decisive action against perpetrators. The implications of the judgment were profound. It set a precedent for how self-defense claims could be evaluated in the context of the abuser's behavior leading up to an incident. The trial's outcome also sparked broader discussions about the need for more robust protections and interventions for individuals in abusive relationships, regardless of the public personas they maintain. In conclusion, the trial and subsequent verdict in the case of Courtney Clenney offered a comprehensive examination of their tumultuous relationship and brought to light the severe consequences of domestic violence. It underscored the legal system's role in dissecting complex personal histories to uncover the truth and strive for justice in equally complex cases. The media coverage of Courtney's trial was extensive and pervasive, characterized by a keen focus on her influence as a social media model and the tumultuous nature of her relationship with Christian Obumseli. Major news outlets, social media platforms, and community discussions often highlighted the contrast between Courtney's public persona and the private turmoil detailed in court testimonies. This coverage played a critical role in shaping public opinion, which largely swung from skepticism about her self-defense claim to a broader critique of how social media can mask serious personal issues. Television reports, online articles, and documentaries dissected every aspect of the trial, from the evidence presented to the final verdict, emphasizing the role of digital evidence and public persona in the legal proceedings. The case prompted a widespread reevaluation of how individuals are perceived based on their online presence versus their real-life behaviors. Moreover, it sparked conversations about the need for more transparency and authenticity in how social media influencers share their lives and influence their followers. The trial's outcome had significant implications for domestic violence awareness and legislation. Firstly, it highlighted the complexities involved in relationships where one partner is a public figure, which can often complicate the dynamics due to public scrutiny and the persona they may project online. This awareness has led to calls for better resources and support systems for individuals who may be suffering in silence behind a well-curated facade. Victim advocacy groups have used this case as a rallying point to advocate for stronger laws that protect victims of domestic violence and ensure that abusers face adequate consequences for their actions. There is a push for laws that would make it easier to use digital evidence, like texts and emails, in court to reveal the true nature of relationships that might otherwise appear perfect to the outside world. Furthermore, the case served as an educational tool, highlighting the red flags of domestic abuse and the importance of taking swift action. Educational programs, workshops, and seminars have since incorporated aspects of this case to teach about the signs of domestic abuse and the importance of seeking help. The discussion has extended beyond the legal implications to psychological and societal ones, fostering a more robust dialogue on how to support victims and prevent such tragedies. The societal impact of this case is ongoing, with its lessons prompting changes in how people view social media personalities, the realities of domestic violence, and the legal frameworks that address these issues. The hope is that this case will continue to inspire more informed discussions, better legislative protections, and more comprehensive support systems for victims of domestic violence, ensuring that the tragic outcome of this case leads to positive changes in society. This tragic event began with the fatal stabbing on April 3, 2022, in Miami, which was the catastrophic endpoint of a tumultuous relationship marked by escalating domestic abuse. The subsequent legal proceedings brought to light the severe implications of Courtney's actions and the dynamics of their relationship, illustrating a grave scenario often hidden behind the facade of social media glamour. The trial dissected their interactions and presented evidence that challenged Courtney's initial claim of self-defense, highlighting the importance of thorough legal scrutiny and forensic evidence in ascertaining the truth. The conviction serves as a crucial lesson on the consequences of domestic violence and the legal system's role in adjudicating such complex cases. It underscores the need for vigilance, thorough investigation, and the critical examination of all evidence, irrespective of the accused's public persona. The case has also emphasized the significance of understanding the real versus presented lives of individuals, especially as portrayed on social media platforms. The justice system's handling of this case demonstrated its capability to navigate complex issues of domestic violence, self-defense claims, and the influence of digital evidence. It also shed light on the potential pressures and biases that public figures might face, both in the legal process and in public perception. The extensive media coverage that shaped the narrative around this case underscores the powerful role media plays in influencing public opinion and potentially impacting legal outcomes. As we move forward, this case acts as a pivotal call for heightened awareness and sensitivity towards domestic abuse, urging society to look beyond the surface, especially in the digital age where the truth can be easily obscured by curated personas. It highlights the necessity for critical thinking and comprehensive support systems for victims of domestic violence, encouraging a proactive stance in recognizing and addressing abuse in any form. The Courtney Clenney Christian Obumseli case is a stark reminder of the complexities of personal relationships in today's digital era and the profound responsibilities of those involved in adjudicating justice. It calls for a continuous dialogue on domestic violence, a re-evaluation of social media's impact on personal lives, and reinforces the need for a legal system that judiciously balances public influence with impartiality and thoroughness in the pursuit of justice. The lessons derived here should guide future cases and influence societal approaches to handling similar challenges, ensuring better protection and justice for victims of domestic abuse.